everyone can hear me okay, if everything's good. So speak now or forever hold your peace, I guess.
People in the audience have the ability to lower or to raise hands and lower hands if they choose to, or yeah. Oh, and people are putting in the chat. Yep. Hello. Yes. All good. So you're good.
Awesome. Okay, great. So we'll kind of get started because I got quite a bit of content I want to get through, and I know we're in a time crunch here. So we're going to go through. I have a couple poll questions. There will be an option at the end for Q&A. So I guess in the essence of saving time, if you could just maybe hold your questions until the final screen, and then we can circle back to them if that's okay. If something's really pressing and it's topical, feel free to throw it up in the chat. Sandra, you're going to let me know while I'm screen sharing, hopefully, if I can't see the chat. So, okay, so we're going to get started. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. Okay. So I'm going to throw my notes up. Can you tell me if you can see my notes? Can you?
Yes.
You can see my notes?
No. Deanna Haysom, How to Think Like a Marketer, available.
Damn it. All right, I was really hoping you wouldn't.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
That's my fault. I didn't think we would see those if you went in presentation mode.
Okay. Deanna, do you have a solution for me?
I think I could bring the screen up, and yeah, I could share my screen.
Okay, let's do that.
I just need to bring it up. So in the meantime, someone can just, do a bit of a comedy act. And while I bring this up, Rachel is really good at performing for us. So
that's good. I don't want to give you all my secrets.
It's so much information, but I've so enjoyed immersing myself in all of the different technologies.
Awesome. Yeah, it's good. So I guess I will. Dee, did I share my presentation with you? I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Beauty.
Okay. Just give me a second. Usually technology challenges only happen with Trevor Moore. So look at us go.
Why leave all the fun for Trevor?
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. Beautiful.
And so, now everyone can just tell us that you are seeing this. And Sandra, I'm going to have to let you, and I have to.
Yep, everybody can see it. They're all seeing, or they are all seeing the t-shirt. Yes. Good to go.
Okay. So I'm just going to make this a little smaller so that I can see both my screens. Okay. So we have first of all, so obviously I work for Tag Concepts. We're a marketing agency within Medicine Hat. Sorry, I'm moving a little faster than I've got here. Okay, so what does this mean? So it means we take our clients through a very specific process to understand who they are and who their clients are and the direction they want to go in so that we can help them get there in a thoughtful manner. So that's pretty much, I cannot even see my own notes. Okay. So we'll go on to our next slide there, Dee, if possible. Awesome. So what to expect with your LinkedIn. So we have our why LinkedIn. We're going to set some goals. Who is your Doris? We'll kind of get to that. I know that's fairly abstract. Creating and posting content, and then assessing your efficacy. So moving on to the next slide. I have a little quote here from this guy. This is Lewis Howes. So he hosts a podcast, The School of Greatness. He's also a New York Times bestselling author. He's written a few books. And so he has a great quote here. Among the social networks, LinkedIn can be one of the most useful when it comes to cultivating critical, lucrative business opportunities. And it is a high concentration of business decision makers. So LinkedIn is for anybody and everybody who's interested in taking their professional life more seriously by looking for new opportunities to grow their careers and connect with other professionals. So there's a lot of different ways that you can utilize LinkedIn depending on what your goals are. So I've got a little poll going up there right now. I wanted to kind of see who's using LinkedIn and who's not. So if you want to hit the yes or the no, So you can kind of think of LinkedIn as the high-tech equivalent of going to a traditional networking event where you go and meet other professionals in person, talk a little bit about what you do, and exchange business cards. So it's like one big virtual networking event. So there are, okay, so most of you are using LinkedIn. Okay, that's good. And for those of you that aren't, this is going to be your little crash course, your LinkedIn 101 to get you all involved. So that's fantastic. So there are two ways to use LinkedIn that we kind of touched on. There's personal use. So you're owning and managing a personal page where you create your own content that could be specific to your workplace and job, or as specific to you as an individual. For business uses, you can have manage or would like to manage a business page where you're looking to expand your company's brand among LinkedIn users. So I always recommend that if your business does not have a LinkedIn page, that you definitely get on that. It's a great tool to have, even just to link to your profile. It adds like a little bit more validity. So we can move on to the next slide. So for your personal or business page, there's a huge value to LinkedIn. So there are 90 million senior level influencers and 63 million decision makers that use LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is also responsible for 80% of business to business leads from social media. I can tell you that personally at TAG that we have definitely gotten clients from LinkedIn. I myself was approached by Deanna at TAG because she had seen my my action on LinkedIn. So I wasn't even actively looking for a job, but just because you're able to put yourself out there and talk about your work in a really organic way, it sort of gives you that soft sell of yourself or of your business. So picture here, you can see the TAG Concepts LinkedIn page. This is a LinkedIn business page, and it's meant to drive business results, raise brand awareness, promote career opportunities, and educate potential customers on your products and services. Like I said, if your company does not have a business page already, start one like today. So if you're using LinkedIn currently, what are you using it for? So I've got a little poll here: personal, business, or a combination of both. Your business page is the perfect complement to your personal profile, which we will touch on a little bit next. But by utilizing both your business and personal pages, you increase exposure and cultivate additional touch points to reach your end users. So what it's best for is engaging directly with potential consumers, business to business sales. Oh, okay, good. So a lot of you are just personal. I know a lot of you don't have a direct business. So if your workplace has a business page, make sure you're linking to that on your profile under your work history. So building your brand among the professional community is also a great thing. Your target audience would be obviously key decision makers and potential consumers in targeted industries that you're looking to reach. There are all different types of contents that you can share. You really want to have that value added content that's relevant to the audience, information about your products and services, demonstrations of how they're used, and increased transparency into your operations, as well as team photos and humanizing that, which we'll get into a little bit more. So LinkedIn provides analytical data through the platform that can be reviewed and analyzed. And this is such an amazing tool because you can really drill down into what is working and what's not. This includes clicks on your website, clicks on posts, overall reach and impressions, and a whole host of data that can be applied to improve your strategy. Additionally, and this is not just for a business page, this is for your personal page as well. You have access to that data, who's looking at your page, where they work, how many people are looking, and you should definitely be keeping track of that or looking at it and monitoring. When someone looks at my profile, I always look back at theirs. So I don't keep my profile. You have private viewing that you can do, and you know, if that's what you're into, then by all means go do so. But I always keep my visibility on because it's just that it's almost like oftentimes if someone looks at me and I look back at them, they'll shoot me a connection request. And if the connection is valuable, which typically they are, I probably wouldn't look if it wasn't, then you can just add them and then your network grows all the more. Additionally, you'll be able to recognize if your strategies are working through calls to sales teams or if you're gaining leads. So you can poll clients on where they heard about your business, and so you can see where your sales are coming from or where your activity is coming from. So you should really check to see to try to see how do you link your personal and business pages. Okay, so when you're in your profile and you're adding your work history, you'll go to where your work history is. There's a little pencil icon. You're going to click on that pencil icon and you're going to type in the business that you work at. If the business has a business page on LinkedIn, it will pop up. If they don't have a business page on LinkedIn, then you're going to need to actually go and create one if you have the ability to do so. So then you would be the administrator of that page, and then you will, you can add administrators and you'll be able to view the analytics, and as well as make posts as you would. LinkedIn has a new feature now as well. Sorry, LinkedIn has a new feature now as well where you can invite people to your page. So that's something that's new. You are capped at 50 invitees, however. So make sure that you're picking your most valuable connections to invite to your page. Because if you're only getting X amount, you really want to make sure that they're working for you. There's a siren going by, sorry. Additionally, strategies that you can use are special groups. Sorry, got away from here. I'll leave it. Special groups. So you can make a group on your page now as well. Very similar to a group that you would make on Facebook, where you can share special updates, special offers, and maybe offer some deeper content that would be more relevant to your clients that you've already captured, as opposed to more of your cold leads, which would be a broader base on your page. So we will move on to the next slide, 6. Your profile. So this is important whether you're looking to accomplish goals for your company or your personal reasons. So in order to truly capitalize on LinkedIn, you need to capture attention and you need to build trust. You can only invite through the website. That's right, Ben. Yeah. Oh, you can invite through the app? Okay, well, that's new. There you go. The other thing with LinkedIn is that they're changing all the time. So they'll do beta testing and things like that. So it's possible that someone will have an option that other people won't. So if, for example, now they're beta testing live video, so some of you might have the option to use live video and some of you might not. And then they'll end up rolling out these features. They don't really make a big show of it or anything like that. They kind of just show up. So a big part of our job and what we're doing is constantly testing and monitoring these new features to try to figure out who's getting them, if they're working, if they're not, if they're valuable, and go from there. So currently right now, I do not have the option to use live video, but I do feel like video is actually my best posts. So I can associate my, I can see by how I can associate, there's a direct correlation between when I post and views on my profile and connection requests. So I can see, okay, on April 24th, okay, I made this video and my views went up X amount. So I know that whatever I posted on April 24th did really well as opposed to maybe the other posts that I had made. So you can really draw a line between what's working and what's not. And so I know that video works best for me. So I was going to kind of get you guys to look at my profile, but seeing as my screen sharing is not working that well. So because everyone has a different goal when using LinkedIn, it's possible everyone's profile is going to look a little differently. So when you're getting to your basic thing, your profile shows your name, your photo, your location, your occupation, and more right at the top. I know some people put Canada or anything, but as much as you can drill down into the details, it's important that you do so. So put Medicine Hat, Alberta. Make sure that you have a good photo. Use your proper name. I say the more visibility, the better. You're here to network. You wouldn't go to a networking event and not let anyone look at your face, right? So you're trying to build a sense of trust. And so to do that, you want to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward. You have the ability to customize various different sections. You can do a work summary, you can do work experience, education, and other sections similar to how you would create a traditional resume or CV. Not all of the sections are applicable for everybody though, because it depends on what your goals are. So make sure that if you're trying to get a job, well then yeah, you'd want to have all those sections filled, like a summary and things like that. If you're not and you're looking more to network, then maybe it's not as valuable. So really it's your prerogative what you choose to share or what you don't. the more information that you share can be viewed by recruiters and other people searching for your profile. So the more information that you can put into your profile, the easier it is for you to be found on searches when people are looking for relevant information. So for example, I sit on the board for Canadian Mental Health. So when people are searching mental health, because I have that in my profile, it will pop up when they search that, put that into the search bar. It's almost like SEO for your profile. So your LinkedIn headline, when you're putting in your work experience, it's going to ask you automatically update your headline. I would recommend that you don't. I feel like your headline should be reflective of either who your ideal client is or who you are, like your personal branding statement. You may be defined by your job, so that can be part of it, but it shouldn't be all of it. So for example, my headline is multimedia raconteur because I feel like I'm a storyteller and I tell my stories in many ways. So that kind of defines me and who I am as a person. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm communications this at Tag Concepts, right? So if they want to learn more, it should just be the hook to kind of get them, because that's what they see when they search for you. And then you want them to come actually look at your profile so that you can capture that information of who's been looking at you. If you've had a big career change, is it better to remove your old professional information or keep it? That's up to you. It's totally dependent on, I feel like, if that experience is relevant to what you're doing now, or if it maybe adds credence to the work that you're doing. So do you have to? No. Can you? For sure. There is some work experience, like I don't want my work experience to be 10 items long. So there is some work experience that I've removed simply for the sake of just making it simpler. Simpler is better. No one wants to read a novel about me. No one cares about me as much as I do. So if it's really not that interesting even to me, then certainly it's not interesting to anyone else. So you can also view on your network. You're going to find a list of all the professionals you're currently connected with on LinkedIn. If you hover your mouse over this option in the top menu, you'll be able to see a number of other options that will allow you to add contacts and find people you may know and find alumni. So you can click, like if you're connected through your job, you can see all the different people that work there. You can see different people that are interested in the same things you are. Again, that's why it's important you capture that information in your profile so that when other people are looking, they're going to find you too. So jobs. You are able to make yourself visible to recruiters. There is an option where you can go in and say that you are actually looking for a job. This option is not visible to your current employer. So your current employer will not be able to tell that you're searching for a job. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if you want to do that, then you can absolutely do that. And then it'll make you visible to recruiters recruiters really do use LinkedIn. And so absolutely it's a really valuable tool if you are looking to kind of make a move or just to even see what's out there if you're curious, whatever. But then make sure that your profile reflects that and all the relevant information that a recruiter would need is captured in your profile. So all sorts of jobs listings are posted every day. And it will recommend specific jobs to you based on your current information, including your location. Again, that's why that's important. And our optional job preferences that you can fill out to get better tailored job listings. So you can go deeper down that. You can also have the interests option. So in addition to connections with professionals, you can follow certain interests on LinkedIn as well, like company pages, groups according to location or interests, LinkedIn SlideShare platform for slideshow publishing, and LinkedIn's Lynda platform for educational purposes. So LinkedIn does have LinkedIn Education where you can go and take a bunch of courses and things like that. And sometimes they have promotions where they're free. So sometimes you have to have a LinkedIn premium. For example, when COVID-19 hit, they were offering 3 months of free courses. So you could go in and take 3 months of free courses. Those can also be, as soon as you take them, they will export that to your profile. So let's say you took LinkedIn training or this or this or this. There's leadership training, there's PR training, there's all kinds of stuff. So worth a look. There is a search bar, so it has a powerful search. Yeah, Rachel said the LinkedIn courses are very good. So they are really good, and they're delivered by people who are at the top of the game in their field. So they're really well executed and they're really well produced. They're video and all kinds of other things. So LinkedIn has a powerful search feature that allows you to filter your results down according to several customizable fields. Click Advanced beside the search bar to find specific professionals, companies, jobs, and more. So you can drill down deeper into what you're looking for. Obviously, there's messages. When you want to start a conversation with another professional, you can do so by sending them a private message through LinkedIn. I often include a little message when I add a contact, so it gives you the ability to add a little note when you invite somebody. If somebody adds me as a contact, the first thing I do is send them a message. Hey, thanks for connecting. I'm really interested to hear more about what you do through LinkedIn, because sometimes you don't want them going real life. There are creepers on LinkedIn, I will say that. So I always like to make sure that, yes, I want to learn more about you. I'm interested to hear more about what you do through LinkedIn, through this platform. So notifications, just like any other social network, you'll see, okay, someone did something, you can have a notification that it comes up on your phone or on your desktop, or you can just have it where you go into the app. I do that because I find it's too distracting to have the notifications come up. So it also lets you know when you've been endorsed by someone, invited to join, welcome to check out a post. If one of your connections is trending, it'll come up in your notifications, but you're able to actually curate your notifications. So if you're getting notifications for things you don't like, you can just click on them and say you don't want to see notifications like that anymore. You'll have invitations. So when other professionals invite you to connect on LinkedIn, you'll have the option to approve. So these are the features you notice on basic LinkedIn. Like I said, there is LinkedIn Premium that comes for a cost. I believe there's 4 different levels of LinkedIn Premium. So it's really up to you what you're looking for. It goes from basic premium all the way up to recruiter. So depending on what you're using LinkedIn for would dictate what kind of premium membership you would want. I have had a premium membership in the past, but for the way that I use LinkedIn, it's not necessary. If you are searching for a job, very valuable. If you are looking to hire people, very valuable. If you're going to be taking a lot of LinkedIn training, also very valuable because the training is free. If you're going to be doing a lot of cold calling through LinkedIn, so basically it's called in-mail. So when you're connected to someone, you can send them a message. When you have a LinkedIn Premium account, depending on the level of account, you'll have X amount of in-mail points. So each in-mail will cost you, let's say, 1 point. And with a basic, you might have 20 in-mails that you're allowed per year. And then if you want more, you can buy more. And then depending, it's tiered going on from there. So depending on how much you're going to use it. So LinkedIn Premium can work if you're using it for the right reasons. So it's not for everybody. If you're just a casual LinkedIn user, then there's no need to do LinkedIn Premium. There are some specialized tools, like I said, business services or premium accounts upgrades, allows users to post jobs, take advantage of talent solutions, advertise on the platform, and expand your reach. So again, if you're just the casual user, probably not necessary. It is kind of expensive. I think it starts at $40 a month. Don't quote me on that. Okay, next slide. So this is our company page for Tag here. The company page is your brand's home on LinkedIn and your opportunity to tell your brand story in a compelling way, provide the content for audiences to engage with, and show your values in action. It's free to create and share and provides an immediate opportunity for audiences to engage with you by becoming followers and receiving updates. So why are we here? Well, whether, sorry, I need to expand this. Whether business to business or business to consumer, these goals are the building blocks of any quality social media strategy. So the ones I have outlined here. So building brand awareness, driving sales and lead generation, increasing engagement, and providing customer service. So no matter what business you are, those are all goals that you would want to achieve. At the end of the day, by increasing your engagement and building brand awareness, when done correctly, will naturally lead to an increase in lead generation and ultimately sales. Providing customer service through social media is crucial, as you can resolve issues with users that could potentially damage your reputation in a positive way and increase your exposure and goodwill. So we can move on to the next slide. Okay, so these are your setting your social media goals for personal. So LinkedIn is a perfect platform to get to know and engage with your customers, potential employers, and like-minded individuals. Well, why? LinkedIn is strictly used for business, which means people sign in, they're not thinking about Farmville, they're not looking at baby pictures or catching up on their friends. It's not about that. They're there to work. So we're gonna show you some tactics for reaching your customers organically and how to use targeted posting to make sure that you're actually connecting with the people that you want to. So LinkedIn encourages you to connect with people you know personally, but you also want to connect with your ideal customer. So we have a little golden rule. So no matter who you want to connect with, I like to connect with them, like I said, from the desktop browser, because it allows me to send a personal message with my connection request. So if I don't know them and I'm just coming at them from out of the blue, I send a little message. Do not message with a hard sell, because that's not what it's about. Don't do that. That's a big no-no. Oftentimes when I see that, I just shut it right down. Another thing you'll notice is that now there are LinkedIn bots. I don't recommend that you use one of those. So it will actually scour LinkedIn for connections that it thinks are valuable for you, and then it will automatically send them a connection request with an automated message. It is not hard to spot when that's happening. I got one the other day and it said, "Hey Rachel, checked out your profile, think we could be of great value to each other." Well, you didn't check out my profile, because I can see you didn't check out my profile. So I know you didn't, and you don't care. You're just doing it to do it. So I didn't accept that friend request, because I know that it's just a bot and that it's actually not value for me. It's just kind of trying to build this person's network. So in those cases, I just don't. So, if you send out a large number of connection requests and too high a number are denied, or worse, marked as spam, which is, again, if you're messaging with that cold, LinkedIn will limit your ability to connect with others. So you really want to make sure that you're making an account and that your messages are nice, and that people aren't just going to shut you down immediately, that there's a purpose. So I would, yes, okay, so as Deanna says, she has different goals for each platform. This is an important thing to do, especially for your personal. So that's exactly it, is there needs to be, there's means to an end, right? We're here to actually accomplish something, so we really want to make sure that we're making it count. So some different places to start would be with your email contacts. So if you're starting from scratch, start with your email contacts, find people you went to school with that went to the same university as you. Look for current and former work colleagues by visiting former employers' company pages and looking for through their employees' profiles. So when you go to their company page, then you're following it, you can actually view who works. Well, you don't have to be following it, but you can. You can view who works at that company. So you can go through and find your old workmates. Check out the people you may know section on a regular basis, because LinkedIn uses the algorithm and your current connections to see who they think that you would actually know, and oftentimes you do. So you will find connections on there that are valuable. Join groups that are topical and engage with others and connect with people you engage with the most. So if you're scrolling through LinkedIn and there's a connection of a connection and you really like, their posts are being shown up in your feed and you really like them, shoot them a friend request and say, "Hey, you know what? I saw your content through my friend so-and-so. I really enjoy it. I'd love it if we could connect." So that's a really soft, easy way to kind of get in there. There are different kinds of connections, and you want to grow your network because of that. So first connections are people you're already directly connected to. Second connections are directly connected to your first connections. And then third connections are directly connected to your second connections. So you can usually invite people to connect with you if they are second connections, depending on their privacy connections. You can also request to connect with thirds. But effectively, the most first connections that you have, the bigger your network will grow and the more exposure that your posts will have because of the algorithm. So we'll go to the next slide. Oh, she does not want to be my friend today. So we're going to measure our goals. Am I on the same slide as you? Okay. So this is how we are measuring our goals. So driving sales and lead generation, these are the goals I talked about before. So the way we're measuring that is we're using sales data, website clicks, and email sign up. We call these conversion and revenue metrics. The next one we have is building brand awareness. So we use amplification metrics for that, which is reach and impressions. Ultimately, I find reach and impressions to be the most valuable of the metrics because people are getting an impression of what you're doing. The more times they see it, the easier they are able to recall it. So we can move to the next slide there. our second set of goals. So we want to increase our engagement. So those are our vanity metrics. Your vanity metrics are things like your likes, your comments, and your shares. And then your customer service. So the way that you do that is through your direct engagement. So what people are commenting on your page, and also through social listening. So social listening is a two-step process. First, you monitor social media channels for mentions of your brand, competitors, products, and any keywords relevant to your business. And next, you analyze that information and look for ways to put what you learned into action. So taking action might mean something as simple as responding to a happy customer, or something as huge as shifting your overall brand strategy, depending on what you learned. Now on LinkedIn business pages, you can follow hashtags. So you can pick a set amount of hashtags that are relevant to what you're doing. And then you can go through there. So if there is a post that come up that is relevant to that hashtag, it'll notify you. If not, then you can always change your hashtags as well. So if you're finding that you're not getting great results from the hashtags that you're monitoring, you can just switch them up and see. And you can follow hashtags from a personal page as well. I follow all kinds of hashtags. So as Sandra said here, does anyone want to share their short-term goals for LinkedIn? So I'm not sure what you individually have planned or what you're looking to learn, but by all means, please do so.
Yeah, and you can either share it in the chat, or you could put your hand up, and then I think I'm able to unmute you if you have something you want to share.
I'll move on to the next slide while we wait. Okay, so setting our SMART goals. So this is how I like to make sure that I'm being effective on LinkedIn, because you really want to make sure that if you are setting goals that you're doing something with them, right? So here we have our SMART goals. So the first one is specific. So the goal must clearly and specifically state what we're trying to achieve. If the goal is very large, you want to break it down into smaller, tangible goals. As we used to say in JA, your goal pyramid, wink, wink, Francis Barnes. Measurable. So which metrics will you use to identify if progress is being made? So can you put a number on your outcome? If so, then do so. Attainable. So what factors may prevent you from achieving the goal? Do you need to collaborate with other teams in the company to achieve these goals? Or maybe if it's just a personal goal, then you don't, but what do you actually have to do? Relevant. So why is achieving this goal important to you or your organization? And time bound. So how will you know when progress is being made towards your goal? Can you put a number on the outcome by a specific date? So for example, I had a goal a while ago, okay, by January 1 of this year, I want to have 1,000 connections. Why was it relevant? Well, I wanted to have them to be in my area. I wanted to make my LinkedIn work for me better. Was it attainable? Well, yeah, I ended up doing it. I had a specific thing that I wanted to do. It was measurable, it was attainable, it was relevant, and it was time bound. So that is an example of a SMART goal that I was able to achieve in LinkedIn. We can move to the next slide. So more engagement and more relevant connections. Okay, that's definitely it. Especially on LinkedIn, engagement is key, because when people engage with your posts, then more people in your first and second network. We'll get to kind of how the algorithm works later on. It's actually quite interesting how LinkedIn is. So with all social media marketing, it's important that we find our voice. And to do that, we must have a deep understanding of who we're trying to talk to. So what is your story? We want you to be very clear about who you are and what you're trying to accomplish, whether that be on your personal or your business page as well. So 77% of consumers are more likely to buy from a brand or engage with people that they follow on social media. Connecting with the right people matters. So going back to what you said there, Marcy, making valuable connections. Oh, that's good, Sandra. So ultimately, the content that we create isn't for us. It's not really even about us. It's about our audience. So everything that we're doing, we need to have that audience in mind. And everything that you create, you need to know exactly who you're talking to. So I like to create a bit of an avatar of sorts to direct my content. So this is a person, we say, who's your Doris? So I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Warren Buffett story, but he has these famous shareholder letters. This is something that Deanna has shared with us many, many times. And so he writes them, Doris is his sister. And so he writes the shareholder letters as if he's writing to his sister, because those are the kind of people that are in his audience. So it's easy to understand, it's in verbiage that they get. And so it's relatable, it's engaging, and that's ultimately what we all want. So representation of your end user, be it real or imaginary. So Doris is a real person, so he pretended to. Maybe you have someone made up in your head, kind of they're going to be working this kind of job, or they're going to be into this kind of thing, males, females, both, whatever. But just have a really good idea of what that's going to look like, and then tailor all your content to reach that person. So when you're writing your content, that's who you're trying to get to. So I recommend for your company, you have a glossary of terms so that you're using the same verbiage all the time. That consistency is key because it makes your content much easier to understand. So try to get a verbiage of what you use to speak with your potential and current clients. What terms are universal that can be used across the board, and what terms are specific to regions, because you might have multiple Dorises depending on what you're doing, right? So there's probably more than one audience in mind. When you're on a business page, always use a conversational tone. So you want to use terms like we and us. Do not use terms like my and me, because it's not you. You're speaking as an organization. So this best damn banana bread, I don't know, like maybe, I don't know. Dee, do you want to speak to this one? I think you tell the story better. Not to put you on the spot. I'm going to take that as a no. So this is a story we use to help our clients understand that they must communicate their key value at all times. So Deanna had a client, and he was in Hawaii, and he was driving down the road, and he saw this sign that said best damn banana bread, like 2 miles ahead or whatever. And he's like, well, I mean, I'm going to stop. It's the best damn banana bread. So it's clear, it's concise, it's to the point. And you're like, yep, I'd like to get my hands on that. So what is it that's going to have to get you to get people in the door? So whatever your best damn banana bread is, whatever you have that is going to get people coming to you, then that's what you want to communicate all that time. Capture that each and every time and let the world know how awesome you are. And that is, again, not just for business, but for personal as well. So we can go on to the next slide there. So how do we reach our Doris? So we've got a couple options here for how you reach your end user. So multimedia content, generally speaking, shorter is better. Attention spans are smaller than ever. So short, entertaining content is king when it comes to things like videos. Like I said, they're beta testing live videos. So soon that will be an option that's available to all of us. If you're using things like photos or links, that should be entertaining and engaging. So yeah, just trying to keep it fun. Online blogs and newsletters are something that can be done. They're currently unavailable through company pages. It's possible there are a couple out there that are beta testing. Again, it's impossible to really say, but these can be done from your own personal page. So it's the perfect way to showcase your knowledge and provide solutions or educate your audience. Another great thing to do is to join active industry groups and share your knowledge there as well, which will help you connect with like-minded individuals. So then we also have our traditional posts, which is exactly what they would seem. So a bit of like a status updates of sorts, can be topical, abstract, or just some funny musings to keep the mood light. I saw someone I follow that I really love on LinkedIn today. He had a post about it being Cinco de Mayo and Taco Tuesday. And it was really cute and funny, and something about not wearing pants. So I can't recall exactly what the verbiage was, but it was just a cute little update. It kind of spoke to his personality. It was funny. It was engaging. He had lots of engagement on it. So your posts don't always have to be so serious, because then when they are, that audience is already there waiting for you. The more people engage with your posts, the more likely they are to see them. So we can go to the next one. So this is our intent index that's about to come up here. So this is actually a study that was done that talks about why people are using social media. So you can see there's a ton of different metrics there and what they're actually doing. So are they here to learn? Are they here to have fun? Are they here to socialize, to express themselves? All these other things. So you can see that generally the main reason that people are intending to use social media is to socialize by far and away. So it's okay if you're just there to engage. Engaging is enough. So make sure you're posting your own content as well, but also make sure that you're engaging with other people, because that's going to make your posts all that much more visible. So to understand how to post effectively, we need to understand kind of what people want to see. So in this case, you know, if you're working with someone else, you can feature them. For example, I posted today, I mentioned Apex, so that people know. Also, if you're with someone, something I used to do at JA was I would always do a thank you to the volunteers who had done something that day, and I would tag them in it. And then they would usually engage on the post. Well, they would almost always engage on the post, and sometimes they would share it. So then my posts are getting seen more because I'm engaging with those people, and it increases your exposure dramatically. So you can live stream company events, unveiling special moments or messages you want to convey directly to consumer. Anytime you can get the viewer to engage with your post, especially with more than a like, a comment is even better, or even better, a share, it increases your exposure. Anytime we can elicit an emotion is good, but even better if it's amusement or laughter. People want to be entertained. So that's something that's really good to think about. It doesn't have to be so serious all the time. We can move on to the next slide. What if you say something stupid? Can you get rid of it? Yes, you can. You can just delete, delete, delete. And we are constantly testing content. I know I've said that again, but there's lots of times I'll throw something up, it's not working, I take it down. I don't want to clog my feed with things that are not effective. So if it's not working, I'll remove it. I am the master of the dirty delete. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so I'm just checking here. Writing messages as though it was intended for doors to break down complex customer simple messages is much needed. Awesome. Well, that's okay. That's what we're here for. So humanizing your brand. So this is something that would be valuable to you as well, Michael, because again, you know, when you have really dry content and stuff, you want to really break it up. So use a little humor. This is a picture that Deanna had tagged or had taken that was on the tag page. You can see we're all there having a little time, whatever. So people can see, hey, when I work with tag, it's not just a nameless, faceless brand. These are the actual people that I'm going to be interacting with. So it gives you a little something else. And at the heart of every organization is the team. So even though our goals are business related, posting about the actual people that make up your organization cultivates that feeling of trust and goodwill with your audience. So trust and goodwill, we always talk about the trust triad. So it's very important that your audience trusts you. There's no time like the present when you're all together. So right now, even if you're with more than one person on your team, snap a little photo, post it on LinkedIn. Hey, I attended this amazing session today with Rachel, tag me in it, and tag Apex in it as well. So you're getting ultimately that exposure. My audience is going to see it. If Apex had a page, their audience would see it, and we could both share it by proxy. So yeah, don't be afraid. Next slide. So employee advocacy is extremely important for business pages. So whether it's your own business page, it's your own business, or if it's a business that you work for. So team members should be encouraged to post brand messages, answer customer questions, write blog posts on behalf of the brand for the website and social media. Like I said, blog posts can only be posted on your personal page right now. Connect with potential new hires or clients, engage with their own insights through platforms like LinkedIn. So again, your insights are those analytics, that data that you can get from who's actually looking at your profile, and share their data with perspective with all the teams to support their goals. So content shared by team members is more likely to be seen for two reasons. The first one is the algorithm. So platform users are far more likely to see content posted by individuals over businesses. That's just the way the algorithm works. You have to work harder when you post from a business page. The second reason is human behavior. So we're far more likely to read something posted by a friend than by a company. That's just the way it is. So that's something to consider when you have employee advocacy. Very, very important. How can you see who can view your profile without a paid membership? Okay, so if you go to your profile, I'll show you on my mobile app. Okay, so I don't know if you can see this, but I'm gonna go to my profile here.
Rach, they can't because I'm sharing my screen.
Oh shit, okay. So you go to your profile and then you can see it says under your dashboard, and that's private to you. You can see who's viewed your profile. So you click on that. If you do not have a paid membership, you can only see the last 5 people who viewed your profile. So if you do have a paid membership, you can see everyone who's viewed your profiles for the last 90 days. So I continually check. I check every day. Is it more beneficial to share from the business page to the personal or vice versa? I would do both. The reason that you should do both is because then no matter what is working or what isn't, you'll be able to see that, test it. It really depends on what your audience is and what the business page audience is. So try it both ways, multiple times, test it, and see what's working. It's really important to test because there's so many variables that affect that. Again, we'll kind of get into it a little bit later about how the algorithm works.
There's one more question in the question and answer that you might be able to answer. How do you see people who are interested in a job change if you have a position open? Is that also a paid subscription?
Yes, so there is a recruiting option for the LinkedIn, and so that's something that you would be able to use to search through. So if you are posting, if you go to your business page and you post directly from the business page, if you're an administrator on that page, it will suggest to you certain people that might be interested in that position, and then you can reach out to them. And also, when you do that and you post from there, it will let people know who would be suitable for that position, and they can actually go and apply to those jobs directly. So there is a cost associated with that. So you do want to make sure that when you're doing it, it is cost per click. So it's tough. Sometimes you want to be very specific so you don't get a bunch of looky-loos clicking on your listing. But there is a cost associated with that, with the recruitment option. So that's how LinkedIn monetizes themselves. So it's free for the user, but if you really want to make it work for you as a recruiter, then there will be a cost associated, and you would want to be an administrative on your business page to do that. Or you can be there, like I said, a recruiter membership. If you're hiring a lot of people, then it's worth it for sure. And those recruiter memberships, like there's like organizations like Leaders International and things like that, that's what they're using. So we can go to the next slide. So I've got a little graph here. So as you can see, this is how your consumers respond to employee advocacy. And yeah, oh, Rachel's got a recruiter license. There you go. Employee advocacy and influencers. So as you can see, your potential clients are far more likely to engage with your brand when they can see team members post about what you do. So this kind of content is more valuable than just the brand talking about itself. Team members can share their personal pages from the business page, both from LinkedIn or if you're using Facebook or things like that. Or you can create native content on your own pages that can relate to what you do. So you don't always, your employee advocacy, as I mentioned, Marcy, doesn't always have to be you sharing from the business page. It can also just be your employees making sure they're making a post. When they tag that business in the post, so when you go, let's say it's at Being Human, then as an administrator on that Being Human page, it's going to pop up. You were mentioned in a post, and then you will have the ability to share. If you do not tag the business page, you will not be able to share. So make sure that you do that. We can go to the next slide. So you want to engage in social selling. So we're turning awareness into actual consideration. So by building relationships with potential clients and providing helpful content and value is how we're going to do this. So often by the time the client has reached out to you, they already know what they want. They've already made a decision. So really there's not a whole lot of soft selling you need to do. So by listening for the right moment to join conversation so you can present yourself as a solution to a problem, you can create sales. So this always reminds me, I love Seinfeld. There's an episode of Seinfeld called The Wait Out, where a couple is going to get a divorce, and Jerry and Elaine are talking, and they say that they're going to be there for you. They're going to be there for you. They're going to be there for you. And then eventually they're just there. So it's just about finding that right time. So you can build these relationships over a period of time, engage with all these people, and then eventually you're talking about your stuff enough. When they need it, they're going to come to you. So your clients are already engaged in social buying, because in fact, the CEB found that customers are on average 57% of the way through the purchase process before they ever engage with a sales professional. And the IDC found that 75% of business-to-business buyers and 84% of executives use contacts and information from social networks as a part of their purchase process. So if you're not actively engaged in social selling, you're not showing up in that social purchase research, and that's a lot of potential missed sales. So like I said, look who's looking at your profile. If someone looks in your profile that is in any of these industries that you're looking to get into, connect with them and include a note so that you aren't coming out of left field. Think of your reach, because if they engage with your post, then more people in their industry and location will see it. So maybe if they're not your direct end consumer, but they probably know someone who are, it's still valuable. Like I said, do not message with a hard sell, because this is about building the relationship, not just coming in with that sell. So you want to ease the contact into a level of comfort with you so that when the time comes, like I said, you're just there. So we all know the individuals who are more interested in selling something than connecting with you. And so if you've done that, it's okay. But you want to tell your story, and then your story will sell your products and services. But it's about the consumer. It's about your Doris, not about you, because at the end of the day, it should always be about your customers. And so really keep that in mind. So we're going to move on to the next slide. How you know if you're engaged in social selling or if you're doing it well is that LinkedIn has a social selling index. So this is the SSI. So this is a copy of my SSI. So it will compare you against people in your industry, and it will also compare you against people in your network. You are able to have a higher SSI if you do use LinkedIn Sales Navigator, simply because you're able to access those contacts better. I do not use LinkedIn Sales Navigator, but it's still, because I'm doing so much engaging and making engaging content as well, I'm in the top 1% of my industry. And the top 15% of my network. Now, that being said, I always connect, because I think a really great way to learn from people. Yes, I am accessing these tools without using LinkedIn Premium account. The SSI, I can actually drop the link into the comments when we're doing the Q&A, so that you guys can access the SSI too. So figuring out what your social selling index score is a free tool from LinkedIn. And you can see you're graded on 4 different items. We can move on to the next one there, Deanna, as well. So this is my old one. This is from August. So you can see I've moved up 1%. So it says I'm 27 out of 100. So sales professionals in the marketing and advertising industry have an average SSI of 27. I'm ranking in the top 2%. So people in my network have a 43, because what did it say I had? I can't remember. So people in your network are an average SSI of 43. So I'm ranking in the top 15%. So we can see there how you compare against that. Like I said, go and follow the best people, the people who are making the most engaging content, connect with them, and learn from them. You can see from other people what people want to see, because ultimately that's what it's about. So now that we know you posting is going to help your sales both through your own personal page and your business page, we can talk more about what you want to post. So we'll go on to the next slide. Okay, so here we have a little chart that lets people know, this is using real-time data to see what people actually do want to see when they're on LinkedIn. So to increase brand engagement, that will in turn increase your awareness and ultimately your sales, we need to remember what people want. So although on LinkedIn, the content should be a little bit more business-like, there's no reason that it cannot be entertaining when appropriate, because people want to be entertained. We recommend our clients focus less on vanity metrics and more on providing content to people that matter. So you want quality over quantity, which is something that I really love about LinkedIn, because truly that's what it is. You're not going to get as much engagement as you might on like a Facebook or an Instagram, but that engagement that you get is so much more valuable. A lot of likes does increase engagement and in turn exposure. If the content isn't topical and it does not get your brand message out to the consumer, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter anyways. So an example are pages that post memes that get a lot of likes and shares, but it actually doesn't convey anything to the brand itself or what it does. That's a huge pet peeve of mine. So yes, you can post a meme, but if it's just all memes and it's not mixed in with anything else, it's not valuable. So yeah, you're getting a lot of engagement, but what are you really doing with it? Because of the way LinkedIn analytics are presented, like I said before, I can directly correlate traffic to a personal or business page to a specific post. So by recognizing what kind of content is resonating with my audience, I can further curate my posts to reflect what drives the most traffic and in turn leads to the most exposure. So we can go to the next slide there, Dee. So we also know what people really don't want to see. So along with some do's, we have some don'ts. So poor customer service is the #1 reason that people will unfollow a brand, along with the dreaded irrelevant content, like I said, just a bunch of memes or things, and overwhelming spam. If you combine those three, you have the trifecta of certain death for social media brands. So there are 3 simple ways that you can get more traffic from LinkedIn. So when you post images, you'll notice that you'll get more comments. So even if it's just a stock photo, it's still worth trying to find something. If it's just a little joke or whatever, once in a while I'll make a post with no image, but for the most part, you want to make your post. People are just scrolling through. That's what we do now. We mindlessly scroll through these news feeds. You want to give them something that's actually going to make them stop. So if you link your YouTube videos from LinkedIn, you'll get more shares. So if you have video content, you can do, but now LinkedIn is sort of driving that down in algorithms because they're introducing that live. So they want you now, when live comes out, you're wanting to do less linking because they want you to actually create that native content right on LinkedIn. So keep in mind that your connections in LinkedIn are interested in industry updates, well, less so are interested in news and products directly from your company. So you can talk about what you're doing without necessarily saying buy this product. So that's something to keep in mind as well. There is a place for that, which again, we'll kind of get to in our next slide here. So we can move on to the next one there. So I like to call this the rule of thirds. And this is how I break up my content generally on my pages. So 1/3 of your social content promotes your business, converts readers, and generates profits. 1/3 of your social content shares ideas and stories from thought leaders in your industry or like-minded businesses. And 1/3 of your social content involves personal interactions with your audience. So 1/3 of what you should be doing is engaging. So 1/3 of your time should be spent liking, commenting, sharing, and engaging on other people's posts, because that will drastically grow your audience. If you're following those hashtags on your business page, you're able to engage on posts as your business that have those hashtags attached to them. So if people are featured, you can bet they're going to share with their own network, increasing your exposure dramatically. Like I said, giving a shout out to volunteers, Sandra or whatever. If you post about this today, I'm going to engage with it. You can live stream company events, unveiling special moments or messages that you want to convey directly to your consumer. Anytime you can get the viewer to engage with your post, especially with more than a like, increases your exposure. And anytime we can elicit an emotion is good, but even better if it's amusement or laughter. Remember, when we're going back to that chart, that people really want to be entertained. Humans are visual creatures and will pay far more attention if you use visuals along with your posts. Posts with only text do not receive as much engagement. So not only do we need to help coming up with objectives to ensure we're posting information with the greatest return, it's also worthwhile that you share content, and that goes for your personal and business as well. So content, when you do share it, should be accompanied by a little blurb summarizing a key point or a takeaway to help the reader identify with your share and to associate the post with your brand. So why are you sharing it? You need to include that. So a little analogy that we like to use is, imagine your friend throws a newspaper down on your desk. Would you read the whole thing to try and probably figure out what they wanted you to get from it? Probably not. But if your friend circled an article with a little post-it attached as to why you should read this, hey, check this out, I think you're really going to like it because of X, Y, Z, you would do that. So you should think of content sharing in the same way. So in today's world, we're constantly competing for people's time, and we need to give them something that is worth stopping to take in while they're mindlessly scrolling through these feeds. And consistency is key when it comes to posting on social media. By continually posting, you're going to make sure that when you do have something to say, like a brand launch or a new concept, your audience is already engaged and ready to receive that information. So it's kind of like that, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. It's really harder to gain more traction. So if you're just maintaining consistency, then it's easier to capture your audience. So we can go down to the next slide here. So this is super interesting. This is kind of like what we've talked about, and this is how LinkedIn sorts through your text, images, and video updates. And it's so what happens is you make a post, the algorithm views this post and sorts it into one of 3 piles: spam, low quality, or clear. So if the bot clears your posts, it's sent to a small random segment of your audience to predict how well it's going to score. Likes, comments, and shares from your focus group, which is your segmented audience of your connections, will determine your post popularity. So like is going to get you 1 point, A comment gets you 2, and a share gets you 3. The lower your total score, the less eyes you're going to get on your content. Sometimes, like I said, we're testing. I've had contents where I've put out a post and it had 0 views. So that means the bot saw my post and either thought it was spam or low quality. I'm probably going to lean towards spam in that case. And so it suppressed my post so nobody saw it. So I just pulled that post off. And then I reposted the same kind of content, but in a different way. And it ended up getting more views. So as your posts get more people talking, it's sent to LinkedIn HQ for review. If it does really well, the LinkedIn editors will surface your post in third degree feeds, at which point you will be officially trending. So if you're getting third degree views on your post, that means your post is trending. So usually LinkedIn will send you a little notification, hey, your post is trending in such and such. One time I made a post and I sarcastically put #blessed. And my post trended in #blessed. So hopefully the people following that hashtag knew that it was tongue in cheek. So this is why employee advocacy is so important, and that we ask you, to repeatedly interact with your pages. If you do have a business page, make sure that you're sending everyone. LinkedIn also has an option now where every once in a while, I think it's every 3rd post, you're able to notify your employees that you have made a post, and they'll get a notification so that they can like and share that content. But I can't tell you, we have a couple clients who really do this, and it makes a huge difference in how much exposure you're getting, like an insane amount. So if you want quality organic connections and quality organic follows, you need to be sure to continue to interact with the page and also with each other. Like I said, don't be afraid to test. I am constantly testing on my own link page to see what works and what doesn't. And it doesn't always work. Like I said, I've had posts with 0 views. I try to identify keywords and what influences LinkedIn HQ likes to do to have surface posts in the third degree network. And I use that to my advantage and to my client's advantage as well. This information is valuable as those trends will likely extend to the corporate pages, albeit to a lesser extent, as LinkedIn is driving businesses to pay to sponsor their posts and boost them in the network. So you do get more exposure from your personal posts than you do for a business post. Yes, getting your friends or family to like posts help with the bot. Even if it takes 2 seconds, you can share your post through an instant messenger. You can just click and copy the link and send it to them. So it doesn't matter who it is who's interacting with your post. As long as they're interacting, you're gonna be more have more of a surface in the algorithm, and you're gonna show up in more feeds. So never ever a bad thing. So we can go to the next slide here. Sorry, how am I doing for time? It's 1:06. I'm sorry, guys. So if things go sideways, so this is just a little bit of a how-to. Sometimes social media can be a really easy place for people to kind of air their grievances. And there's nothing worse than a disgruntled client blasting you on social media. So sometimes even when we do everything right, the worst can still happen. Worse yet, if you really have made a mistake, it's important to react to negative reviews or interactions in a way that can still reflect positively on your brand. So make sure you're watching your channels. That social listening is really important. So watch your channels for anything that could reflect negatively on you. And so whether that be directly on your pages or through social listening through other people's personal pages as well. Acknowledge the person as soon as possible. If they feel they aren't being heard by phone or email, they might lash out on social media. Some do this just to warn their friends off of what they believe to be a bad product. Others really want to hurt you and force you to pay attention. So speed is of the essence. Acknowledge the issue quickly, as quickly as possible before it snowballs and picked up other customers and prospects along the way. So you don't necessarily have to have an immediate solution. Just an open, non-judgmental inquiry about exactly what happened is enough to start the process. This does not mean delete. So it's better for people in some instances to see a constructive response to a negative comment than to get buried in messages accusing you of curating all the negative social media comments. Once in a blue moon, I've had to delete comments off corporate pages, but that's because they were abusive in nature or slanderous. Once in a while, but for the most part, you shouldn't be afraid to engage publicly when it's appropriate. Sometimes sorry is often the hardest word because we don't want to take the blame or agree with the customer's point of view. But if we look at it from the customer's viewpoint, then it's hard to argue with their experience. They're talking about their experience. It might not necessarily be, how they say there's your version, my version, and the truth. So of course, if it's clear your product failed, then a sincere apology followed by a quick replacement If it was a service failure, then apologize to the effective, we're sorry that you didn't get the service you expect from us on this occasion. Follow this up with something tangible like a voucher off their next purchase, or maybe some swag, depending on the scope of the issue. If you're sure their claims are entirely without merit, the best long-term strategy may be to ignore them after repeated attempts. Sometimes there's people that just are relentless and will let it go. However, as social media is a highly visible public forum, commenting once to the effect that what they are saying is inaccurate and unfair and providing facts to support this will at least give other viewers the true picture. If someone is repeatedly complaining, it's a good time then to evaluate your relationship with this person and remove them from the dialogue if necessary. So like I said, once in a blue moon, you might just have to do that. Often when people have been vocal about an issue, they will be vocal about a positive resolution. So when handled correctly, these situations can actually increase brand loyalty from the client and turn a negative into a positive while demonstrating how great your customer service is. So don't be afraid if something like that happens. So we are going to move on to the next slide. So LinkedIn in the time of COVID. So now more than ever, you guys know as well as I that the nature of work has changed, and face-to-face networking events have become a thing of the past, and maintaining a strong digital presence is more critical than ever. So by using LinkedIn in an effective way and using the strategies we have mentioned above, you can capitalize on your newfound ability to navigate this platform and use it to its full advantage. Take stock of what's working and what is not, and tailor your strategy accordingly. Using data from all the metrics discussed previously, such as conversion and revenue metrics, amplification metrics, vanity metrics, and social listening, you're able to fuel multiple strategies for everything from marketing your product to product development and sales to customer service, as well as to build your personal brand, increase exposure in the marketplace, and hopefully learn a thing or two. So we know for sure that from all this data that people are using LinkedIn now more than ever to make these business connections. So it's absolutely more valuable than it's ever been. So right now is totally the time. Your audience is there. They're waiting for you. They want to hear about you. So just jump on it and don't be scared. So that's pretty much, I got one more slide here. So we got a little Seth Godin here. Marketing is no longer about the stuff that you make, but about the stories that you tell. So really that's what it's about. Your audience wants to be entertained. They want to hear the story. So if you tell your story and you tell it in a way that's engaging and entertaining, you're going to produce great results. So you can still sell your product without making that super hard sell. So I've got my last little slide there. It's just my contact information if you need to reach out for us for anything like that. But does anybody have questions?
That was amazing.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see this. These are some of my notes.
Oh, good. Okay. That's good.
I've been madly scribbling throughout. If anybody has any questions, they can post them in the chat. There were a couple of questions in the Q&A, but I think you answered them. I think that whether we were talking about the free LinkedIn or the monthly premium account, I think you talked about that a bunch of times. And then the job change question you answered live. So I think we're good there. Yeah, like that was really great. I'm going to go and practice. Oh, Wes is asking about the SSI. Not sure what he's asking, but just the question.
Oh, he's asking about the social selling index link. So I'm going to pull that up. Super interesting to learn about yourself. I tell you, when I first found that tool, I was like, what?
Well, and for somebody competitive, it would be very interesting to watch like where you sit amongst your peers, right?
Absolutely. Yes, for sure. And like I said, like this is something we do day in, day out at TAG. Like we're constantly testing for our clients. Things are changing all the time. You know, we manage a lot of personal and corporate pages. So, you know, these are things that we've kind of gathered through all that experience. But yeah, things are always changing. So the best recommendation I can give you is just try different things. And when you try, don't be afraid to delete it if you're not feeling comfortable about it. But the way that you can learn and test what your audience is really wanting to do is just to give it a shot, see what sticks, and adjust your strategy based on that.
Perfect. Your final slide actually didn't come up with your contact information, Rachel.
Oh, sure.
So you may want to
that's my fault. I got trigger happy and wanted to show off her hair today again.
Oh, no, it looks really great.
Damn.
I'm just thinking that it was a lot of information, and so if people wanted to get in touch with you, good if they could do that.
For sure. And I would say first step, add me on LinkedIn.
Yes.
So just search Rachel Krupash, add me on LinkedIn. We can connect. I promise I'll engage with your content. And that'll help boost you and get you started down the road. And yeah, don't be afraid to shoot me an email, give me a call, shoot me a text. Oh, didn't see SSI link.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? You may have posted it only to the panelists. So when you pull up the chat, you can.
Bad.
You can choose who you wanna.
Here we go. Sorry, Sarah.
There you go.
Here we go.
That's
I'm going to put it back on you. I stopped sharing my screen.
So I am going to post this, Rachel, up to our YouTube channel because I didn't record my intro to you, but I recorded you right from the beginning. Yay!
Wins all around.
And so I'll post it up to YouTube, so you'll be able to grab it and put it out through your media as well. And people are welcome to get on there, and I'll post the link through the YXH business support page as well.
Cool. Sounds great.
That was great. I don't see any more questions, so I think you are free to go.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate
Thank you
it.
so much.
It's my pleasure. Bye.